here starts their day by taking their blood pressure. Today, my blood pressure was 105, excuse, excuse me, 105 over 80. All right, so that is the first thing I do. I get up in the morning, I have my constitutional, make myself a cup of coffee, and then we, excuse me, sorry, I haven't talked yet today, so I'm clearing my throat. And then we check our blood pressure. And also, if you can get your heart rate up, I check your heart rate. That is great as well. What is your fasting? I mean, your your morning blood pressure. Oh, I really should exercise my voice before I start talking. Yeah. So my heart rate was 77. This is my blood pressure after one cup of coffee. Before coffee, I think my diastolic might have been a little bit lower, probably 105 over, I don't know, 75, we'll say. Went up a couple points. And my heart rate probably went up a couple points. So I would say for a senior, that's an excellent blood pressure. What do you guys think? 63 years old. So what are you guys doing? Are you checking your blood pressure daily? What are some of the things you're doing to lower that blood pressure to reduce your risk of a stroke? Talk to me. What are you doing? What are you doing to oh, I could have just gone like that. See that? Yeah, what are you doing to reduce your risk of stroke? Excuse me. Clear that throat of mine. So we talked about here are the top 5 things you can do right now to drop your blood pressure 20 to 50 points. Let's do this. You guys want to help me? All right. Yes. So the first is, oh my God, I got to clear my throat. The first thing to lower your blood pressure is calorie restriction. That means that you're going to calculate what your BMR is. All right, this is for people who have hypertension and who are overweight. You want to your base metabolic rate, right? So go ahead and calculate your base metabolic rate. And your base metabolic rate is going to tell you how many calories you need to consume in a day in order to maintain your current weight. Right? So let's go ahead and we'll share that with you right now. And this is calculator.net, and it's going to take you to your BMR calculator. Oh my God, I really should have cleared my throat before I came online. All right, and you're going to do your height and your weight in centimeters, right? And so I think I am 175. Is that correct? Wait a minute, hold on. 5'8" in centimeters. 5'8" in centimeters is 172. Okay, we'll say 173. And we'll say okay, so we'll say I am 160 pounds, convert to kilograms. Okay, so that would be 72.5. 72.5. We'll say 73 since I've been a little heavy lately. Okay, so that's going to tell me that my BMR, in order to maintain my current weight, I need to consume 1,501 calories a day. So if I go under 1,500 kcal, I will lose weight. If I only consume 1,500 kcal, I will lose weight, because the only thing you're going to get from a basal metabolic rate is the bare minimum of calories you need in order to maintain basic body function. So, what happens if you start to add exercise or physical activity? Say you're burning an extra two, just running around throughout the day, doing daily activities, you're going to burn at least 500 kcal a day, right? So we assume if you are burning 500 calories a day in physical activities, then if you consume your basal metabolic rate of 1,500 kcal, you would lose approximately 1 to 2 pounds a week. Does that make sense? So the basal metabolic rate is the amount of calories your body needs in order to get your heart to function, to get your body's basic organ function to work. Now, if you're sedentary, you're still doing some physical activity. So if I'm sedentary, right, then being sedentary, I'm going to be consuming about 300 kcal a day. That's walking around, fixing yourself a sandwich. So I would still be losing about a pound a week, even if I was sedentary, because I would have a deficit of 300 kcal a day. But if you add to that exercise, my body would need 2,000 calories in order not to lose weight. So if I'm consuming a BMI of 1,500, and I'm exercising 1 to 3 times a week, then I have a deficit of 500 kcal. So how many kcal do you need to? How much kcal is worth 1 pound? How much kcal is worth 1 pound? 3,200. Approximately. Right? Have I lost the audience already? All right, I'm here to empower you. Okay, so so we want you to have a deficit of 3,200 kcal a week in order to lose 1 pound. Right? So you can do that by, say, your basal metabolic rate is 1,500, and you're doing a little bit of exercise, and you are keeping it at 1,500. I should lose a pound a week. And this is the fastest way to drop your blood pressure, because you are taking pressure off the pipes. Right? So the best way to do this is with intermittent fasting. Go. Sorry. And this is something that they used to do all the time, right? People used to do intermittent fasting all the time. It was called the 1950s. Dinner at the table at 6 p.m., woman, right? Guy would come home from work. She would serve him his cocktail, right, in his favorite chair, because he's the king of his castle. And then she would make dinner, and then he would sit at the table and he would have his 6 p.m. dinner, right? And maybe he'd have an after dinner drink, right? People used to drink a lot in the 50s and 60s. And then he would watch Johnny Carson, right? Watch Johnny Carson, or no, I guess it was Jack Parr back then. And then he would go to sleep, right? So he would go to sleep around 10, 11. So what happens? It means that that person is fasting from 6:30 until 7, 8 a.m. the following morning when his wife is making him flapjacks, right? So he's going to have his pancakes. Pancakes are going to happen tomorrow at, say 8 a.m. We'll say 7:30. We got to be realistic here because he's got to drive to work, right? So what happens with a schedule like that is that the person is fasting 13 hours and they may not even realize that they're having a 13-hour window of fasting because they stopped eating at 6:30 and they didn't break their fast again until 7:30 the following day. And what that does is it helps your body clean the pipes, and by cleaning the pipes, you're lowering your blood pressure. Simply by not eating at night. And that's because after the 1950s, what we say is like post 1950s, we had a fourth meal. So this is the problem with everything that started to happen afterwards. What is the fourth meal? What is the fourth meal that Americans are having? Snacks. So you're loading up on calories at night when our ancestors stopped eating at 6:30, right? So you're eating your ice cream, your popcorn, your chips and salsa, maybe. So at that point, you're loading up another 400 to 600 to 800 kcal, and then you're sitting on it. And that's a huge part of why you have hypertension, because that's going to create more fat and more fluid in the pipes, which is going to raise the pipes. So this is why calorie restriction is one of the fastest ways to drop your blood pressure, simply by not eating after 6:30, or we say 4 hours prior to bed, right? The other is salt reduction, right? Make sure you've got your salt reduction happening so that you don't want to be consuming more than 1,800 milligrams of sodium a day. Use salt sparingly, right? So those are two things you can do: calorie restriction and using salt sparingly. The other thing you can do is increase plant consumption. Why is increasing plant consumption important? What have we learned about that? We've learned that by consuming more plants, good things start to happen, right? Good things start to happen when we consume plants, right? So when we're consuming more plants, if you can't do raw plants, you can think about doing steamed plants, right? But when you have an elevation of nitrous oxide is what we're looking for. Nitrous oxide will um, help relax the arteries, and that will take down blood pressure, So that is why we talk about plants. And the difference between the arteries of, say, somebody who's an omnivore, well, if you're an omnivore, that's okay, but you want to be eating a plant based diet or a diet that's rich in plants, and that is going to really help with the overall health of the arteries. And then the final thing that I recommend is omega 3s. So we think about anything that's high in omegas, which will cause relaxation of the arteries. And then somebody had mentioned it earlier, which is exercise. And exercise will also exercise your arteries. It will widen them. It'll increase heart output and function. So those are 5 things that you can do in order to improve your blood pressure. Be like